Right now on Morning News Now, chaos in the Capitol as an embattled President Biden hosts world leaders in Washington for that high-stakes NATO summit. Closed-door meetings held over the president's fitness to serve another term, while even more lawmakers come forward saying Mr. Biden should bow out. We'll bring you the latest. A record-setting heat wave continues to slam the South in the wake of Beryl's wrath. And to make matters worse, nearly 2 million Texans are waking up this morning without power. We've got the latest on when their ACs might be powering back on as those soaring temperatures and that suffocating humidity moves east. We've got your full forecast. And in the middle of this summer swelter, there's a new push on Capitol Hill for safer and more effective sunscreen products here in America. We will explain what that might look like a little later in the hour. An important conversation, especially as misinformation about sunscreen spreads online.
Exactly, and people often just don't use it enough at this time of year.
That's
and boy,
true.
Do we need it right now.
I'm an SPF 50 every day on the face.
Good to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin this morning with the race for the White House and President Biden's imperiled re-election bid following last month's shaky presidential debate.
Democratic lawmakers have been holding closed-door meetings on Capitol Hill this week. They're expressing their concerns about the president's chances of winning a second term, but the president insists he is not stepping aside. Yesterday, New Jersey Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill became the latest House Democrat to call on Mr. Biden to bow out of the race. And Colorado Senator Michael Bennet became the first sitting Democratic member of the Senate to say publicly that he thinks President Biden cannot win the election. Now, this is all happening as Mr. Biden faces a new public test on the global stage. He's hosting world leaders in Washington at the summit, marking NATO's 75th anniversary. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us now with the very latest. Ali, good morning. So walk us through what came out of these closed-door meetings. I mean, what are we hearing from both Congresswoman Sherrill and Senator Bennet? And just what's the overall mood among Capitol Hill Democrats?
It felt yesterday, frankly, standing outside that House Democrat caucus weekly meeting, like the mood was very much a collective sigh. This is not a dam-breaking moment. Members didn't flood out of that meeting ready to call for Joe Biden not to be the nominee anymore. Instead, we did see two new House Democrats either voice concerns in the instance of Congresswoman Trahan or outright say, as Mikey Sherrill did, that Biden should no longer be the nominee. But I actually thought that what was more encapsulating of the current mood about Democrats, and if you put back on the screen that list of where House Democrats are, there's a man who's got his own column, and it's Congressman Jerry Nadler, was against Biden, at least privately. We reported that. He didn't dispute it, and is now publicly supporting him, saying to us yesterday outside the meeting, he's going to be the nominee. Basically, it doesn't matter if I have concerns, Biden is the guy. And that's because the organization against him is not organized. And as one lawmaker put it to us, that means the advantage goes to the president. But that doesn't mean that there's not concerns. Listen to the way that Senator Michael Bennet is putting this in dire terms. And he's the first Senate Democrat to come out publicly and go this far. Watch.
Donald Trump is on track, I think, to win this election and maybe win it by a landslide and take with him the Senate and the House. And so for me, this isn't a question about polling. It's not a question about politics. It's a moral question about the future of our country. And I think it's critically important for us to come to grips with what we face if together we put this country on the path of electing Donald Trump again.
That's a serious warning from a serious senator. At the same time, it doesn't go so far as to say, because I have these electability concerns, Joe Biden should drop out. No senator has said that at this point. No member of leadership has said that at this point. And that's probably what's keeping people at bay at this point, too.
How is the Biden campaign responding to all this, Ali? And by the way, tell us about Democrats that have actually been coming out in support of the president.
I'm glad you point that out, Savannah, because by and large, most Democrats are supportive of the president, if not resigned to the fact that the longer that this will he or won't he goes on, he will be the nominee. And many people are aware that I've spoken to, lawmakers on the Hill, that he's dug in on this and that the people who could potentially be persuasive to him are also still publicly in his corner. That really does matter. But the Biden campaign, in response to Senator Bennet and also this larger concern about what polling trends show, the Biden campaign says this was always going to be a close race. And of course, that's definitely true. Of course, for senators, for lawmakers further down the ballot, there's also selfish concerns concerns in this, which is they want to be able to keep the Senate. They want to be able to keep their seats. They'd like to be able to retake the House. And there's concerns about a drag on the ticket, this idea that the person at the top isn't going to be able to bring the excitement, bring the voters, and bring the Democratic energy that would allow them to keep the Senate, take back the House, and, of course, maintain the White House. And that's where the concern comes from. It's not just a question about Biden himself. It's about the role that a president plays in a year like this one, where the balance of power in both chambers, and we've seen the ramifications of this time and again, everything is so razor thin that there's concern about even losing a few seats in either chamber. And certainly losing a few seats in the Senate would mean they lose the Senate. It's just a 51 balance and a 51 majority there. The concern and the panic is palpable, but it also might not change anything.
Allie, amid all this, the news is also making news. I want to ask you about some comments from ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos. He was caught on camera saying he didn't think the president could serve 4 more years, just days after he interviewed him. What more are we learning about this?
Yeah, this was on TMZ. He passed someone on the street. Stephanopoulos, seemingly walking in workout clothes with headphones on, was passed by someone on the street in Manhattan and asked, hey, you've talked to the president more than anyone lately. You interviewed him. Do you think that he can do it? And Stephanopoulos in that video said he doesn't think he can serve 4 more years. Of course, someone reached out to Stephanopoulos, confirmed that it was him. He said he responded to a passerby on the street, shouldn't have done that. But certainly this is another twist in the story, a reminder that it's not just lawmakers now who are airing their concerns or even thinking about what the implications of that Biden interview and that Biden debate are, but now the very man who did it himself.
All right, Allie Vitale. Allie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Allie. Well, despite all the questions surrounding his candidacy, President Biden still does have official business to attend to. He will welcome NATO leaders to Washington later this afternoon.
Yesterday, the president delivered opening remarks at an event marking the 75th anniversary of the alliance. He told the audience the United States would continue to defend Ukraine in its war with Russia.
NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now. Aaron, good morning. So many see the summit as an opportunity for President Biden to prove to his doubters, as well as allies, that he can still lead on the world stage. How did he appear yesterday, and what did he have to say so far about NATO?
Yeah, I think in the remarks he gave last night at the opening ceremony for the summit this week, the president seemed strong and forceful in his comments. Obviously, it was a script, a speech that he read from, but at the same time, it was one that was well delivered, as we heard applause from people in the room several times while he spoke. The thrust of his comments really were, as you noted, the importance of NATO and the fact that it must stand up to support Ukraine in the war against Russia. I want you to hear a little bit of what the president had to say with regard to his support and NATO's support for Ukraine.
Ukraine can and will stop Putin. Today, NATO is stronger than it's ever been in its history. When this senseless war began, Ukraine was a free country. Today, it is still a free country, and the war will end with Ukraine remaining a free and independent country. Russia will not prevail. Ukraine will prevail.
Now, we understand that there will be an announcement from the larger NATO organization about additional support, increased funding and military support for Ukraine. The president last night, for his part, announced that there were going to be additional Patriot missile batteries supplied to Ukraine from the United States, donated, as a matter of fact, from the U.S., Germany, and Romania. Just part of what we expect to hear from the president in his support for Ukraine and really trying to rally the rest of the world to continue to support Ukraine's efforts as well.
There's an expression, all politics are local. Perhaps this week, all politics are international. So, Aaron, walk us through what's on the president's schedule today and over the next few days. I mean, what are some of the biggest challenges he's facing? Just how much pressure is he under to deliver here?
Yeah, well, let's start with local. The president will go to the meeting of the AFL-CIO leadership that's happening here in Washington today. That's a campaign stop. Right after that, he heads back to the NATO summit at the convention center here, where we know that he will participate in at least one working session that's happening today. Later on today, he'll have his first meeting with the new British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on the sidelines of the NATO summit before he and the First Lady host the attendees of the NATO summit at the White House for a dinner. And you're right, there still will be a lot of attention focused on the president, both in his ability to just sort of hold up in these spaces. It is going to be a long day with a lot of meetings, a lot of heat here in D.C. as well. And so people will be watching just to see if he says anything that's that's sort of off, that would be an indicator of any concerns that people have been expressing in the last several weeks in particular, people will be watching him physically to see how he holds up in these meetings and whether he seems to be rising to the occasion of being a head of state and hosting the leaders of more than 30 countries here in Washington.
And
Joe,
Aaron,
Savannah?
on that topic, yet again, yesterday we reported about these visits to the White House by a Parkinson's specialist. There's been some back and forth here, a neurologist as well, about when that happened, why that happened, and then sort of some dissonance with what we had been hearing from the press secretary. Yet again, the White House has tried to clarify this. What is the latest?
Yeah, there was a question asked of the press secretary by the Associated Press yesterday in the briefing at the White House, and it was about whether Dr. Kennard, the neurologist that you mentioned, had met with the president's physician because they were talking about the president. And the statement that we got at the briefing yesterday was no, that was not the case, essentially. And then the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, put out a statement late last night looking to clarify, as we understand it. She said, because the date was not mentioned in the question, I want to be clear that the January 17th meeting between Dr. O'Connor and Dr. Kennard was for the president's physical. It was one of 3 times the president has been seen or has seen Dr. Kennard, each time for his physical. The findings from each exam have been released to the public. So that clarification coming from the White House, trying to explain again why that neurologist was there and was meeting with the president's physician. This meeting happened before the bulk of the president's physical at Walter Reed Military Hospital, and the release of those details that came shortly after that.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much.
Speaking of NATO, leaders of those NATO countries are keeping a close eye on the 2024 elections and the looming possibility of a second term for former President Donald Trump, all as the future of the war in Ukraine hangs in the balance.
Yeah, former President Trump has yet to give his plan for addressing the ongoing battle, only promising to win the war, quote, before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency.
NBC News correspondent Von Hilliard joins us now with more on the Trump campaign. So how much is the potential for a Trump return to the White House impacting what we're seeing with this NATO conference this week? And just realistically, I mean, do we have an idea of how Trump returning to the White House could impact the war in Ukraine?
Right. There's a stark contrast in approach to NATO from Donald Trump versus the current administration. Donald Trump this year has suggested that if NATO member nations do not put enough money to their military defense as part of their GDP, that the U.S. should send a message to Russia to say, do the hell whatever you want, that the U.S. would not defend those NATO countries from any Russian aggression here. Donald Trump has suggested that U.S. aid to Ukraine should be pared back and has said that he would end the Russia-Ukraine war in one day. But it's not clear how he would do that. Some close former allies of his have proposed a military proposal that would force Ukraine to make some concessions of some of their territory to Russia in order to reach that peace agreement here. And for Donald Trump here, some of his closest congressional allies, including like Marjorie Taylor Greene, have said that the U.S. should not care what happens to Russia or should care what happens to Ukraine. And Donald Trump has suggested as well that there are some serious questions about whether the U.S. should remain militarily and financially committed to Ukraine.
Let's talk about next week as well as last night. Next week, we've got the Republican National Convention. Of course, that'll be a big deal. Last night, we had the former president hosting an event in Florida where he did sort of hint potentially could we see a Rubio ticket here with him. We still don't know the running mate. What did we learn about that and anything else at this event in Florida last night?
Right. The Republican National Convention in Milwaukee begins this upcoming Monday here. So the anticipation is that the VP announcement would come sometime before then. It was potentially going to happen last night in Doral in Florida. Senator Marco Rubio was there. Donald Trump repeatedly made reference to him in the crowd. I want to let you listen to Donald Trump specifically talk about Marco Rubio as potential VP.
If he's not chosen, would he play a role in your administration?
Well, he certainly will, and he's a fantastic guy, and he's a friend of mine, and he is one of the top people. And let's see how we do over the next week, but probably over the next week or so, maybe even at the convention.
His next political event is this Saturday just outside of Pittsburgh. And then, of course, Donald Trump will head to Milwaukee for the convention.
Speaking of VPs, all this attention around President Biden is shining a spotlight on the current vice president, Kamala Harris. And, and it appears Mr. Trump is taking aim at her. What's he saying?
Right. I've been to a lot of campaign rallies, and we've listened to a lot of Donald Trump speeches over the last year, 2 years here. And largely it's been focused on Joe Biden. This go around last night, it was a little different. There was a lot more forceful comments towards Kamala Harris, suggesting that this administration had put her in charge of the border and questioned the effectiveness of her efforts to stem immigration into the United States. He made the direct reference that Joe Biden can't drop out now because, referring to Kamala Harris as an insurance policy for him, that the Democrats would not want to choose to go with her because her chances would be even worse than Joe Biden's to beat him. So Donald Trump last night, he used that, his first campaign appearance since that Atlanta debate, he used that as a moment to celebrate what he called a resounding victory over Joe Biden and a knockout blow.
All right, Vaughn Hilliard. Vaughn, thank you so much.
Thanks, Vaughn. Well, today in Texas, there's growing concern for people's health as cleanup from Hurricane Beryl is now fully underway. Well, more than 1.5 million people still do not have power, while some of the hardest hit areas are getting scorched by a dangerous heat wave. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park has the latest from Houston, where the heat index could hit 103 degrees today.
Good morning. We have made our way to another hard-hit neighborhood here in Houston, entering day 3 with no power. Already this morning, it's feeling quite muggy. The highs will likely climb into the 90s once again. The heat index reaching the triple digits, a heat advisory in effect until later on this evening. Some residents here who do not have power say that inside their homes, it feels more like a sauna. Across Houston yesterday, we saw a lot of folks cleaning up and then fueling up as well. Long lines at gas stations and fast food restaurants. Meanwhile, this morning, still more than 1 million customers here without power. CenterPoint Energy, the main utility company here, says that a third of its customers have the power restored, but the timeline for full restoration is still unclear at this point. Meanwhile, it's not just Houston dealing with this oppressive heat. More than 120 million people coast to coast dealing with this extreme heat. New York included, dealing with 5 consecutive days in the 90s. Las Vegas breaking a record yesterday, 119 degrees. Meanwhile, in Northern Virginia, in Fairfax County, an apartment complex there had no AC. The company saying that the cooling tower went down. They are trying to replace it, but some residents said that it also felt like 93 degrees inside their apartment unit. And as Beryl continues to move on out of here, a final blow in the Midwest. We were tracking tornadoes that respond, specifically in Indiana, left a path of destruction. So lots of powerful storms already this summer. And of course, that extreme heat that we're tracking as well. Back to you.
Right, Kathy, thank you.
Let's now get a closer look at where the remnants of Beryl and all that heavy rain are headed. Time for your morning News Now forecast.
That means Angie Lastman's in studio with us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, guys, good to be with you. We are not done talking about Beryl just yet. It is just remnants now, but it's still causing problems across parts of the country, specifically this morning, the Great Lakes. But by later this afternoon and even late morning, we'll see some of that moisture working into parts of the Northeast. So no surprise, flood watches. There's a lot of moisture still associated with this system. Quite a soggy morning across the Great Lakes, so those flood watches will remain up through the day today. The system is on the move. Notice what happens by the time we get into the late afternoon and evening hours tonight. We'll see much of that draped across parts of New England, stretching down towards the mid-Atlantic. We'll have kind of the steady, really good drenching rain in some spots that, of course, need it. But we'll also see the potential for some strong storms to develop from this, specifically in parts of Pennsylvania and New York as the day goes on. By tomorrow, it gets stuck. We're talking about a stalled front that's hugging that coast. This is going to leave us still with some storm chances from mainly the Carolinas up into Maine. It won't be quite as heavy of a rain, but it'll still be impactful when it comes to getting stuff done and being outdoors. Here's the area we're watching today for the severe weather. Again, much of the Northeast included in this, and we will see the greatest chance of some of those strong wind gusts, so over 60 miles per hour. But we can't rule out the tornadoes. We know how active the system has been when it comes to tornadoes over the past couple of days. We've still got that potential into the afternoon and evening hours tonight, so we could likely see several tornadoes in this region. The good news, I guess, out of all of this is that the hail risk is low, so we don't have to so much worry about that, but we will still be dealing with the flooding concerns. And notice that the flash flood risk is at a moderate risk, especially across parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and New York, Burlington and Rutland included in that, but it's quite expansive. Maine all the way down to Pennsylvania and, of course, the Great Lakes, still going to have that potential for flash flooding as the day goes on. Some significant rainfall in some spots. I think widespread amounts, 1 to maybe maybe 3 inches, but localized spots could get up to 5 inches. So we'll be watching for the flooding concerns across that region. And the heat, no surprise. I mean, it has not gotten better. As promised, we still have these heat alerts up for the bookends of the country. The East Coast dealing with the heat and the humidity. So we've got mid-90s for Raleigh, Washington, D.C., Charleston, down to Jacksonville. But look at those feels like temperatures. 108 is what it'll feel like in Washington, D.C. today. Charleston at 108. And these temperatures don't really improve over the next couple of days. Atlanta stays into the 90s through Saturday. We've got mid-90s on Friday in Nashville, even warmer on Saturday. And even Richmond, you do dip back into the 80s, but it doesn't stay comfortable for very long. We'll still see plenty of humidity, too. And the West Coast continues to roast. We've got 118 for Las Vegas on Thursday, guys. Palm Springs expected to head to 121.
Oh. I would like to put in a request to turn the heat off. Do I do that through you?
I do have a direct line to Mother Nature, so
right.
Whatever comments, concerns, complaints, I'll take.
Oh, is
let
that
her know.
so? Okay, we'll
Social
remember
media.
that every time we're not happy.
Not shy.
Thanks, Angie.
Of course.
We're learning new details about an alleged carjacking in Washington, D.C. that involved the security detail of a Supreme Court justice. An armed 18-year-old suspect allegedly threatened 2 U.S. Marshals who were assigned to Justice Sonia Sotomayor's security detail. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin walks us through what police say happened.
In Washington, D.C., an investigation into an alleged carjacking attempt near the home of Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. According to the Metropolitan Police, it happened hours after the 4th of July fireworks on this block in the heart of the Capitol. 2 deputy U.S. Marshals charged with protecting Supreme Court justices were parked outside when the suspect, identified as 18-year-old Kentrell Flowers, allegedly armed with this firearm, approached one of the marshals and pointed a handgun at him in an apparent attempt to carjack him. According to police, the marshals opened fire. The suspect survived, taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It's the latest in a series of high-profile carjackings to strike the Capitol. Late last year in nearby Georgetown, 2 teenagers were arrested for allegedly breaking into a Secret Service car assigned to protect Naomi Biden, the president's granddaughter. Local residents say they're not surprised by this latest violence near Sotomayor's residence. Do you feel safe?
It comes and goes in waves.
Still, for the first time in 6 years, carjackings in the Capitol are actually down 46% compared to last year's spike as police crack down.
While we have not reached our destination, we are on the right path.
A source close to the investigation tells NBC News they believe this attack was random and not related to the Supreme Court justice. The suspect has yet to enter a plea. Back to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you.
Well, closing arguments are set to resume this morning in the federal bribery trial of New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. The jury will likely begin deliberations on Thursday, as closings are expected to take a few more hours today, with lawyers for the other defendants making their arguments.
Senator Menendez is accused of accepting bribes in the form of cash and gold bars in exchange for political favors. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash were discovered during a search 2 years ago of Menendez's home. He, along with 2 other businessmen, have pleaded not guilty to bribery charges.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now on this. Danny, good morning. So let's start with the prosecution. And just for example, those gold bars that Joe just mentioned. So part of what they said here is, oh, his wife, Nadine, she had hid them somewhere. He didn't even know about them. What are your other big takeaways from what they argued?
I've defended these kinds of federal bribery cases, and the defense usually takes a similar recurring theme, and it's this. The prosecution can usually show benefits on both sides. Here they have gold bars going to the senator, and they also have allegedly benefits the senator provided through his official acts or through his office. You almost never have a written contract. Hey, I agree to bribe you in return for your official acts. So the government knows they need to prove that by inference. So on the defense, no surprise, that's the argument. Hey, this was not a quid pro quo. These are just gifts from really, really generous people that have nothing at all to do with each other. It's an uphill battle. I've tried that argument. I've rarely been successful. Statistically, most people in federal court will be convicted. So I would say that the senator goes into closing arguments, and you see the gold bars right there, which, by the way, are the star of the show, not the senator. The gold bars have been something that has really made this case a compelling one for the government. The senator is definitely the underdog going into closing arguments.
Well, bars are what made headlines as soon as we heard about all of this. So Menendez's lawyer accused prosecutors of portraying the the senators Scrooge McDuck swimming in gold coins, saying prosecutors are making half-truths in their closing arguments. What do you make of the defense's argument? What do they have to do to try and win this?
As defense attorneys, we don't get to pick our facts. The government does, and particularly the federal government gets to cherry pick only their most favorite set of facts to take to court. So no surprise here that sometimes the defense is making an argument that feels like a stretch. Yes, is he Scrooge McDuck swimming in gold coins? You know, there's a risk the jurors may go back there and say, he kind of is, because in all my years on Earth, I've never dealt in gold bars. I've even heard of Bitcoin and other ways of paying for things, but gold bars is something out of the movies from another era. So I don't get that. And when jurors don't identify with a defendant, they feel more comfortable convicting that defendant.
Really good point. Walk us through what you're looking for as closing arguments in today, and then this heads to a jury.
Like I said earlier, there really is only one avenue when the government puts up evidence of so many benefits on each side between people who know each other. You have to basically argue, and it's already been argued, that this is just coincidence. This is somebody that felt like giving a senator gold bars, and the senator just felt like, in his own independent judgment, doing something that just happened to benefit the citizen who gave him those gold bars. It can be a stretch, but you never know. Some juror might be receptive to it.
Just need one.
Just need one.
Danny, thanks.
Ideally more.
So much.
Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a new push on Capitol Hill for safer sunscreen as Mother Nature hits millions with that scorcher of a heat wave.
First, though, after the break, the very latest out of the Middle East. More casualties after a strike on a school in southern Gaza. We'll take you there up next. We are back now with an NBC News investigation involving one of the most powerful evangelical church leaders in the country. Pastor Robert Morris, founder of the Gateway Church, is accused of sexually abusing a minor more than 4 decades ago. NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton has the details, and a warning, some of the details in this report are disturbing.
For decades, Cindy Clemishire carried anger and shame as she watched the meteoric rise of megachurch pastor Robert Morris.
Thank you, Jesus, for
watching him has been harder and harder.
Morris founded Gateway Church in 2000.
If you don't tell the whole truth, you're not being honest.
One of the largest evangelical congregations in the nation, with 9 campuses in North Texas and tens of thousands of devoted worshipers. He became a member of President Donald Trump's Spiritual Advisory Council. But to Cindy, Morris was the traveling evangelist who began to sexually abuse her on Christmas Day, 1982.
He told me, he said, hey, come in my room before you go to bed tonight. I want to talk to you.
He was 21, Cindy was 12.
He started by touching my breast and putting his hands in my pants. He wanted me to stand and close my eyes so he could lift my shirt and pull my pants down and just look at me as a 12-year-old.
Do you remember what he would say to you, what he'd tell you?
Well, the very first time he told me, you can't tell anyone because it will ruin everything.
She says the abuse lasted 4 years until she told her family what was happening. In 2005, after years of struggling, Cindy reached out to Morris and suggested that he pay her restitution.
No one can give me back my teenage years.
It was just last month that for the first time she shared her story publicly online. Morris had been sharing his version for years.
Sexual temptation is an appetite of the flesh, and I developed an appetite before I was saved.
As he rose in influence and power at Gateway, Morris sometimes alluded to past transgressions.
I was very immoral, and I was immoral a lot.
In June, Morris told the Christian Post he had inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady and resigned from Gateway. Gateway told NBC News it is committed to protecting people, first and foremost children, and that it has retained a law firm to conduct an investigation. Gateway says before last month, the current elders did not have all the facts. Former Gateway pastor Stephen LeBlanc says parts of Robert Morris's past were known for years. He just didn't know Cindy's exact age.
It wasn't cloaked at all. It was a common knowledge. And in a way, somehow celebrated that God had disciplined the man and restored him.
Even now, he worries former colleagues aren't being honest about what they knew.
I can't think of any accountability that they've taken other than to plead ignorant.
And you don't buy it?
No.
Other incidents bring the culture of the church into question. Court documents show earlier this year, Gateway Church settled a lawsuit brought in 2020 by the mother of a minor who alleged she was sexually assaulted by another member and that Gateway leaders concealed and discredited evidence. The church did not admit to any liability.
They don't look at a child as someone to protect. Let's use the child in any way we have to protect ourselves.
In letters from 2007 reviewed by NBC News, Robert Morris's attorneys blamed Cindy, claiming she initiated inappropriate behavior. Cindy and her attorneys say that same year, Robert Morris asked her to sign an NDA in exchange for $25,000. She refused. Morris did not respond to multiple interview requests. While Gateway's review is underway, 4 church officials have taken a leave of absence from the Board of Elders.
Do you think even now Gateway is protecting him?
I do.
Cindy says what she wants now is to help other survivors feel less alone. Antonia Hilton, NBC News, Southlake, Texas.
Time now for some international headlines. We're going to start in southern Gaza, where more than 24 people were killed after Israeli bombs hit a school.
Claudio Lobanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. A school in southern Gaza that was housing displaced civilians was hit by Israeli bombs, killing at least 25 people, at least according to Palestinian officials, who also warned that the death toll is likely to rise. Now, Israel's army says the reports of civilian casualties are under review. It comes as Israel continued its assault on Gaza City. In the UK now, newly elected Prime Minister Keir Starmer has appeared in Parliament for the first time since his landslide election victory last week. Former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is now the leader of the opposition, so the two men swap places in the House of Commons. Overnight, Starmer flew to Washington, where he will join other world leaders at the NATO summit. And we end up in the Atlantic coast of French Guyana, where the European Space Agency has successfully launched its latest rocket. Ariane 6 cost more than $4 billion to develop and replaces Ariane 5. If the rocket is a success, it will be used to transport satellites and other space equipment. But unlike its American competitors, a new model will be needed for every single mission in the future. Back to you guys.
That might get pricey, but all right, Claudio, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Coming up, we are a little more than 2 weeks away from the start of the Paris Olympic Games, and that's got some people taking up a new sport of their own.
After the break, we've got your weekly checkup with a new study showing the benefits of getting out and getting active. The doctor's in, coming up next. We're back with your weekly medical checkup. We're looking at why breaking a sweat in team sports could be one of the keys to better mental health.
Plus, the different key ingredients in popular weight loss drugs could be playing a big role in how many pounds you shed. We've got everything you need to know.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us now to break down these headlines and more. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. So the Summer Olympics are just around the corner. Some of us may be inspired to take up a sport of our own, like a relay race or shot putting or, Lucky for us, there's a new study that found taking part in sports could be good for our mental health. Talk to us more about that.
Yeah, I'm looking at taking up breakdancing. First time it's in the Olympics. So 57% of adults that were surveyed in an American Psychiatric Association survey said that they participate in some sort of sports, including team sports. Some of the most popular sports, basketball, also doing swimming and running. 85% of people who are active said that they experience benefits beyond physical benefits, which is no strange. I think all of us have been talking about the benefits of exercise and mental health. This is just more proof that at any age this could help you. So the doctor's orders here, teams at any age get it into those sports. The benefits are beyond the physical, and it's not just for Olympians. The adults that answer these questions just did this on a recreational basis. These were not professional athletes, and they too experienced these benefits.
Wow, that is so impressive to me. I can't imagine as an adult spending my time on a team sport. I would be so bad at that. I can't even.
There are different levels, I'm sure. You could start at the entry level.
Yeah, okay. Dr. Patel, let's talk about these weight loss drugs. So research is suggesting that there's these differences in them. Drugs like Zepbound and Mounjaro might help people lose more weight than, for example, Wegovy and Ozempic. What's the difference between the medications? How can you tell what's right for you?
Yeah, Savannah, this is the first kind of head-to-head study, but it was an observational study. They looked at electronic health records of over 40,000 patients that were on either Zepbound, which is also known as Mounjaro, or Ozempic, also known as Wegovy, comparing the two. And in time after time, after 3 months, 6 months, and even a year, Zepbound or Mounjaro performed better. Both groups experienced significant weight loss, but always with a higher percentage of body fat lost in the Zepbound and Mounjaro group. Now, before everybody goes reaching for their phone to call for that specific drug, I think it is important to note, Savannah, well, number one, Zepbound and Mounjaro do have a slightly different additional chemical level of action. Both act at the glucagon level, but Zepbound and Mounjaro have an additional activity level that kind of quiets the brain from some of your food cravings, so that could explain it. But 50% of all populations, all drugs, quit the drug after a year. So here are the doctor's orders. Weight is a number. You have to really think about what that means. There's no right number or wrong number, but you need to discuss it with your doctor. And then don't forget side effects. Both groups, while they did not experience serious side effects, they did have side effects. We take that into consideration when we're prescribing this for a patient.
Finally, Dr. Patel, a number that really is quite startling. About 1 in 3 adults have prediabetes in the U.S. That means they have higher than normal blood sugar levels. There's a new study that found delaying diabetes by just 4 years could have a lasting impact on long-term health. So first of all, remind us, what puts people at risk for type 2 diabetes? How can you delay that?
Right. Yeah, great questions. We've got 3 of us talking about it here. 1 in 3 of us is likely to have prediabetes. So this is very serious, very common. Factors that predispose you to getting diabetes, people often talk about diet and lifestyle. That can certainly be a factor, but we're learning more and more, not just about genetics, but environmental factors, epigenetics, kind of even how you were raised as a child and the environment and the food availability can all weigh in on whether or not you can become a diabetic. So what this study did, looking at hundreds of adults, they split them into 2 groups. They really just kind of let the pre-diabetics just kind of have a regular course doing about what they would normally do, no intervention. The other half, they gave either a diet, exercise, or kind of intense lifestyle modifications as an intervention. Turns out that with those interventions, diet and exercise, you could actually delay the onset of going into diabetes by as high as 4 years, and in some cases never go into diabetes. So these people saw cardiovascular benefits after years and a number of other things that improved, not just their chances of having diabetes. So I think here the doctor's orders are that you can press delay on diabetes and that you can think of diet and exercise as medicine. So pre-diabetes, sometimes we offer treatments. Many times we start an intensive intervention, diet and exercise, and then we also might think about additional modifications. But that can be medicine in and of itself.
Yeah, an important reminder, there are warning signs and you can turn things around. Dr. Patel, thanks for joining us this morning. Good to see you.
Thank you. Let's stay on your health. So we've talked about some of the recent reports showing that sunscreen here in the U.S. might not give us the same type of protection as the products available in other countries. Well, now a New Jersey congressman is chiming in, calling on the FDA to step up their UV fighting game with a new safety plan. Consumer reporter Linda Baccaro from our NBC New York affiliate has the details.
The sun's rays are a welcome sight for sunbathers and pool goers, but they can also be harmful. Parents know the importance of sunscreen.
I reapply her like every 2 hours. For me, I use at least SPF 30, but I think hers is 50, and we use mineral for her too.
In front of the Fairlawn Memorial Pool, New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer says the government could be doing more to protect your skin.
The sunscreen on the shelves here at stores across the United States is more limited and less effective against UV exposure than sunscreens available in Europe and Asia. Yep, you heard that right. Europe and Asia is ahead of us on sunscreen.
The FDA classifies sunscreen as a drug, which means it comes under more scrutiny. In Europe and Asia, it's regulated as a cosmetic.
So as a result, compared to cosmetics, the drug approval process takes years and years more and costs life sciences companies millions of more to bring a new sunscreen to market.
Gottheimer is now asking the FDA to speed up the review process, saying the last time a new UV filter was approved in the U.S. was in 1999. In the meantime, check for sunscreen products with a sun protection factor of 30 to 50. Look for the words broad spectrum. Make sure it's water resistant. See if they contain zinc or titanium. And remember to reapply every 2 hours. Dr. Ali Hadi is a board-certified dermatologist with Englewood Health Physician Network.
Unfortunately, sunscreen degrades over time, and you need to use it every 2 hours if you're outside.
Is that a hard and fast rule in your family?
No, honestly, the day kind of gets away from us, so it's honestly when we remember.
Research shows that regular daily use of SPF 15 or higher sunscreen can reduce a person's risk of squamous cell carcinoma by about 40% and melanoma by 50%.
Our thanks to Linda Becerra for that report.
Coming up, we are taking you on a gastronomical journey of sorts. It's turning out to be quite a big deal here in New York.
After the break, the half-sour specialty one deli is offering that's trading bread for brine. It's a pickle sandwich, and it is a talker. That's up next.
This morning, the FAA is investigating two very close calls involving passenger jets. They happened on opposite sides of the country. One incident seems to have been a near midair crash between two regional jets over the Syracuse airport, and it was caught on tape. Here's NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello.
Police dash cam video shows what appears to be a very close call over Syracuse. An American Airlines Blue Streak regional jet and a Delta regional jet coming within 700 feet of each other. Moments earlier, controllers had cleared the Delta flight for takeoff.
Only 2 takeoff.
On the same runway, the American regional was about to land.
Wait, who's cleared to take off on 28? Blue Streak 5511, Syracuse, go around. Going around, Blue Streak 5511.
Ben Augustine was on the American flight that waved off.
And then all of a sudden there was this whip of like you're going up a roller coaster, and you just felt the altitude go, you just felt yourself go way up.
The FAA is investigating whether it was controller or pilot error. Both airlines are cooperating. Also on Monday, yet another close call.
United 1001, we were just told a tire came off your aircraft.
A United flight leaving LAX for Denver losing a tire on takeoff. The Boeing 757 continued on to Denver, where flight attendants prepared for an emergency but landed safely. United tells NBC News the wheel has been recovered in Los Angeles, and we are investigating what caused this event. It comes as United's maintenance operations remain under increased FAA scrutiny following a series of high-profile incidents, including a tire that fell from a United 777 departing San Francisco for Japan. New questions and scrutiny. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
Time now for some money news. Tech giant Samsung is unpacking its latest tech and everything that's set to come later today.
CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and some other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. So let's start with Samsung, which is holding its second Galaxy Unpacked event of the year today and is expected to talk a lot about, well, what else? AI, foldable devices, and smart rings. Now, Samsung phones and tablets already have some AI features such as audio and text translations and photo and video editing, with more to come. Now, the new Galaxy Ring is set to arrive in August. It will measure heart rate, movement, and breathing to help track your sleep. It's also expected to support fertility tracking. Meanwhile, Uber and Lyft drivers are pushing ahead with a ballot initiative in Massachusetts this November that could win them collective bargaining rights, just like unions. Now, this comes after a landmark settlement last month that guarantees ride-hailing drivers will earn a minimum wage of $32.50 an hour in the state. Union experts say labor laws aren't written to take gig workers into consideration, which the ballot question would remedy, and drivers decide to form a union. And more than a third of adults say they have a side hustle. A new Bankrate survey finds they're earning more than they did last year, with the average side hustle bringing in $891 a month. That's up from $810 last year. Now, more than a third of people use at least some of that income for discretionary spending or to pay for regular living expenses. Now, about a third think they'll always need to have a side hustle to make ends meet, guys.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Savannah. Well, when you think of food from a New York deli, you might picture a chopped cheese, maybe a perfectly toasted bagel, maybe a pastrami on rye. How about a pickle sandwich, though? A single social media post has led to a craze over the now famous pickle bun sandwich, leaving an impression that's anything but sour. Reporter Adam Cooperstein from our affiliate WNBC has more.
Hang it up for snacks. For 50 years, this family-owned Italian deli has served a steady stream of loyal customers. But Seven Brothers Gourmet in Oceanside never saw this coming.
So the line starts around the corner here, and it goes all the way out to the door.
Yes, all day long.
Hey, can everybody please just step to the left if you're on the pickle sandwich line?
All of a sudden, owner Anthony Fiorito has found himself in a bit of a pickle.
We didn't even ask for this.
This is constant lines of curious customers desperate to try their pickle sandwich.
We've been seeing it all over TikTok, and we knew we had to get our hands on it.
Seven Brothers first created their breadless sandwich in January, but it wasn't until 4 months later that it blew up.
I'm going to be trying a pickle sandwich.
This TikTok video, made by a cashier's sister, Gabby Parmigiano, went viral.
That is so good. The bacon, look at the juice dripping.
It quickly racked up more than 4 million views.
Oh, wow, we made 10 today. The next day came, oh, wow, we made 20. We made 30. Then it was like, we made 70. Then I'm calling the Boar's Head guy directly, like, I need more pails of pickles. I need more pails of pickles.
Anthony used to order 1 pail of pickles a week. Now he's going through 10 per day.
At the peak, how many of these are you selling per day?
500.
500?
The pickle sandwich, we saw it on TikTok.
My teenage daughter sent me here today to get the sandwich.
People have been waiting online for a half hour, an hour, and I feel terrible about it.
Anthony says some people are driving from hours away to try the pickle sandwich.
New Jersey, Connecticut. A family came from like Albany last week.
You can order the pickle sandwich in any of the 200 combinations on the menu, and they cost about $10. The original
Bon appetit.
is turkey, bacon, lettuce, provolone, and a side of honey mustard for dipping.
The crunch.
It's just so nice to see that people worldwide are, seeing them and they're getting the recognition that, they deserve.
She's definitely getting free lunch for life, I'll tell you that.
Does this seem normal to you, or is it still weird?
No, this is super, super weird. It literally feels like a dream.
Anthony's dad started the business in 1972 and certainly never could have predicted pickle mania.
He passed away a couple of years ago. I wish he could be here to see this because he would eat it up. It's incredible. It's overwhelming, but it's incredible.
Thanks to affiliate reporter Adam Cooper for that report. I love that.
The bacon. I didn't think of that, but that's a good idea. You get different kinds of crunchy in there.
Oh my gosh, I love that story.
Awesome.
Free lunch for life is right.
Yeah,
awesome.
no kidding.
All right, coming up, they are back. The San Diego Zoo released the first photos of its newest members, 2 giant pandas.
The gentle giants are officially bringing pandemonium back to the States. We've got more on their welcome home coming up next. Welcome back. We are finally getting a look at one of the most eagerly anticipated movies of the year, Gladiator 2. The first trailer for the sequel has dropped. The movie stars Paul Mescal as Lucius, who was a boy in the original movie. He battles a rhino in one scene, so he must be pretty tough. Pedro Pascal and Denzel Washington also star. Movie drops in theaters November 22nd.
Into that cast.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, you got Mezcal and Pascal, too.
Yeah, I know.
Like that.
I get that confused every time, but I love it. Thanks, Chow. Yep. All right, the San Diego Zoo has been welcoming its newest residents, and the cuteness already unbearable. The zoo has released the first images of their eagerly anticipated giant pandas just after their arrival from China. Here's NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz.
They're objectively the country's cutest diplomats, and they're officially now on U.S. soil. The San Diego Zoo sharing these sneak peek images of 5-year-old Yun Xuan and 4-year-old Xing Bao, the first giant pandas to enter the United States in more than 20 years.
It's exciting, really. It's exciting, so cool.
The adorable duo's journey from China began 2 weeks ago after months of preparation. The first of even more pandas bound for the U.S., including Washington, D.C. later this year. It all marks a revival of China's panda diplomacy, which began in 1972 when a pair of pandas first arrived to the nation's capital.
I think pandemonium is going to break out right here at the zoo.
52 years later, the feeling hasn't changed.
It is so special for everybody. Our team members that now get to care for them again.
Now, it's still unknown when the pandas will be viewable to the public. They're currently in quarantine, but zoo officials say they're settling in well to their new California life.
The zoo writing the girl Xing Bao loves sunbathing and chowing down on her favorite food, bamboo, while the boy, Yun Xuan, has been spending his days climbing trees or rolling in the grass.
It's wonderful that they want to bring them back so that everybody can see the pandas.
I think this is what peace is.
The two now forever friends, helping make the strained relations between their old and new countries a little more bearable. Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
Can't wait for their debut.
They are really cute.
They are. You could just watch pandas
really
all
cute.
day long. Who needs a Yule log? Just put on a panda video, watch them roll around. What more do you need? That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, calling on his allies. Under fire, President Biden kicking off the NATO summit in Washington with this forceful message to Vladimir Putin and the people of Ukraine.
All of the allies knew before this war, Putin thought NATO would break. Today, NATO is stronger than it's ever been in its history.
But how strong is the president's bid for re-election? The grim mood among Democrats as they hold private meetings in the House and Senate. More lawmakers break ranks, publicly calling on Mr. Biden not to run. We're going to have the latest developments. Plus, disaster round 2 as Texas recovers from the devastation left by Beryl. People there now face a new emergency, triple-digit temperatures. We're on the ground to hear the stories of those struggling without access to power and air conditioning as they try to rebuild their lives. Also today, Buckingham Palace inside out. It's the most famous balcony in the world, and now you can get a king's view. The palace is reopening to the public, and the tour now includes the room that looks onto the famous area where history has played out over the decades. We'll be taking a look. And later in the hour, drama in the dark. Would you go to a play where the audience sits for 2 hours in complete darkness? I'm going to be catching up with the co-director and one of the stars of the groundbreaking Odd Man Out. Don't worry, though. We'll keep the studio lights on for that conversation.
Oh,
I did it.
Should we? That sounds fun.
It is fun. You are, though, completely... Oh, turn off the studio lights for the interview.
Yeah.
It might not be a great experience for the audience at home, but it is an incredible experience. I went there. You were completely immersed in the dark. You cannot see a thing for 2 hours, so you rely on your other senses.
I'm really interested in this. I can't wait to hear the conversation.
Can't wait to do that one. All right, we're going to begin this hour with mounting concerns over President Biden's candidacy for the general election.
Yeah, this morning, more Democratic lawmakers are calling on the president to step aside following that widely panned debate performance. All that comes as Colorado Senator Michael Bennet yesterday became the first Senate Democrat to publicly warn that President Biden was on track to lose the election. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us with more. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Savannah and Joe. It did seem for a day as though President Biden had held off this avalanche of calls for him to step out of the race. But after a day of closed-door meetings, more and more Democrats are coming forward with real concerns that they believe the president cannot win in November. For the first time, a sitting Democratic member of the Senate saying out loud what many of his colleagues are saying privately.
Donald Trump is on track, I think, to win this election and maybe win it by a landslide and take with him the Senate and the House.
Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, echoing what he and two other senators, John Tester and Sherrod Brown, told colleagues in a closed-door meeting. They don't think Joe Biden can win.
I think that we could lose the whole thing, and it's staggering to me.
Coming on the same day as another House Democrat, Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, joined the group calling for Biden to step aside.
I spent the week hearing from my constituents about their strong concerns about prosecuting the case against Donald Trump.
But most Democratic Party heavyweights still backing the president.
I'm with Joe.
We're riding Biden.
The president remaining defiant and his allies urging support.
Every minute we spend focusing on questions and concerns about his debate rather than questions and concerns about Trump's leadership is a day that we are missing.
Some Democrats have concerns behind closed doors, describing Biden as shaky and expressing real doubts he has what it takes to beat Donald Trump. One Democratic House member telling NBC News, quote, people are very frustrated that the president appears defensive and in denial. But many are not speaking out publicly.
Are you all on the same page?
No. What do you mean you're not on the same page?
You're not even in the same book.
One of the Democrats who had privately called for Biden to withdraw, now saying he'll support Biden.
Whether concerns or not, is beside the point. He's going to be our nominee, and we all have to support him.
And in just the last few minutes, the House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, once a strong backer of President Biden, stopped short of saying that she personally believes that he should stay in the race. She said the decision is up to him. When it was pointed out to her that he's already made that decision, Pelosi demurred and said that he still has time to make this decision. Just a sign, Joe and Savannah, of just how much ambivalence there is here on Capitol Hill and how President Biden right now just seems to be twisting in the wind, even among his fellow Democrats.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much.
Despite the increasing pressure from Democrats, President Biden is facing a new challenge on the world stage today, welcoming NATO leaders to Washington for a summit. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has the latest.
Good morning to you. Even without all the drama about Joe Biden's political future, this would be a critical week for the president, hosting more than 30 NATO allies looking to fortify support for Ukraine. But he's also trying to shore up his own political support, speaking late yesterday with Democratic mayors, arguing they are on the front lines of protecting democracy and will play a crucial role in re-electing him. Facing intense scrutiny with no room for error, President Biden is both candidate and commander-in-chief, welcoming world leaders to Washington with a clear and forceful address Tuesday touting the NATO alliance as more powerful than ever.
It's good that we're stronger than ever because this moment in history calls for our collective strength.
The president this week juggling dual duties, looking to calm Democratic concerns about his ability to serve, while demonstrating strength in front of America's most critical allies, united in their support of Ukraine, announcing deliveries of new air defense systems to fend off Russia's brutal assault.
Make no mistake, Ukraine can and will stop Putin.
And Vice President Kamala Harris campaigning in Las Vegas, stopping by to visit the U.S. men's Olympic basketball team and reiterating her support for the president.
And the past few days have been a reminder that running for president of the United States is never easy. But the one thing we know about our president, Joe Biden, is that he is a fighter.
Still, amid nagging questions about the president's health, overnight, the White House issuing another correction, this time about the visits of a neurologist to the campus, after initially saying none of Dr. Kevin Kennard's visits were connected to the president's care. The press secretary now saying the doctor's January 17th visit was to examine President Biden ahead of his annual physical. All of it more fuel for former President Trump after keeping a largely low profile for the last 11 days, teasing his VP pick with contender Marco Rubio in attendance and issuing this challenge to his rival.
Let's do another debate this week so that Sleepy Joe Biden can prove to everyone all over the world that he has what it takes to be president. I'm also officially challenging Crooked Joe to an 18-hole golf match. It will be among the most watched sporting events in history.
The Biden campaign responding overnight, saying in part, quote, Donald Trump is a liar, a convict, and a fraud, only out for himself, par for the course. Also overnight, new indications how the last couple of weeks have impacted this race. New ratings from the highly respected nonpartisan Cook Political Report show former President Trump now has an edge over President Biden in 3 key swing states that Biden won in 2020, Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, now all lean Republican. Of course, this is only a snapshot of the moment, but it does show the challenge the Democrats increasingly face. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Well, this morning in Texas, safety concerns are growing as recovery from Hurricane Beryl gets underway. More than 1.5 million people still don't have power or access to air conditioning, while some of the hardest hit cities like Houston and Galveston are under dangerous heat alerts. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park is live in Houston, where the heat index could reach as high as 103 degrees today. Kathy, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. That's right. We are here in a hard-hit neighborhood in Houston, and this morning it's already feeling quite muggy. And I can tell you, though, behind me, a lot of these homes, they do not have power. In fact, some residents say it feels like a sauna right now.
As Texans clean up from the destructive Hurricane Beryl, in Houston, the heat index expected to soar into the triple digits again today.
Even though I open up all the windows, you get the breeze
your house is still hot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dangerously hot for nearly 2 million Texans still without power. The storm already blamed for at least 9 deaths in the U.S. With power outages entering a third day, some residents are prepared to leave to find relief.
We've got a portable fan that is chargeable, battery operated, so that helped last night, but we won't probably stay another night.
Generators working overtime and gas stations packed to keep up with fuel demands. Houstonians aren't the only ones dealing with oppressive heat. More than 120 million people baking on both sides of the country. Heat records shattered in Las Vegas, where it climbed to 119. New York now on its 5th consecutive day in the 90s. In Northern Virginia, residents at this apartment complex had to endure 90-degree temps inside their units for days after a cooling tower went down.
I wake up with my heart racing.
And as Beryl makes an exit, a final blow in the Midwest, spawning a destructive tornado in Indiana. A summer of extreme weather with powerful storms and sweltering heat.
And with the heat advisory in effect here in Houston until later on this evening, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is urging CenterPoint Energy to restore power as quickly as possible. But at this point, it's still unclear when everyone will have their power back on. Savannah?
All right, we're going to have a conversation about that in just a moment. Kathy Park, thank you so much.
Let's keep with your morning news now. Weather forecast. The East Coast experiencing the stifling heat wave could see record highs in the coming days.
Angie Lastman joins us now with more. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's the East Coast. It's the West Coast. We've got some spots in between that are dealing with these heat alerts as they gear up for another really steamy day. So let's talk about it. 122 million people under those heat alerts. Again, East Coast, West Coast. We've got, of course, spots in Texas where you just saw Kathy dealing with the heat advisories as well. Let's start in the East, where temperatures are expected to be well into the 90s. In some spots, mid-90s. Charleston, Raleigh, Washington, D.C., all above or at 95 degrees today. And when you add in the feels like temperatures, 108 is what we'll be feeling like. We've got really a whole lot of moisture to tap into. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be sticky. And this is something we'll deal with for the next couple of days. When we look to places like Jackson, into the low 90s, but feeling like the mid-90s. So not a lot of relief when it comes to the heat and humidity across this region today. And unfortunately, we don't see a lot of improvement across most of this area, even as we get into tomorrow. We'll see some minor kind of dips in temperatures for places like Richmond, which are expected to hit the mid-90s tomorrow. But by the time Friday rolls around, low 80s. That doesn't last for long. We are back to those upper 80s by Saturday, and the humidity is still out there. A little farther to the south, Montgomery, you'll hang out into the 90s. Same for Atlanta, topping out at 97 on Friday for one of the warmest temperatures over the coming days. And then Savannah ends up into the mid-90s over the extended period, well into our weekend. Now, moving to the West Coast, it's not the humidity, of course. It's the actual temperatures that are just pretty incredible in a lot of spots. We've seen all-time records set in Las Vegas. We're nearing that here over the next couple of days, and we'll likely see plenty of records broken in this region as we get through the next couple of days. Thursday in Las Vegas, expected to hit 118 degrees. Palm Springs, it'll get your attention on Thursday as well, 121. But even as we see the low end of those temperatures come into play, Phoenix, the lowest over Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 110. So it's going to be really brutal. There doesn't look to be any relief in sight for our friends out there. So we're going to have to continue to find those cool spots and do the best we can, checking on our neighbors and our friends and our family over the next few days because the heat wave continues. So does Beryl, apparently. Not as a tropical system, but impactful nonetheless with all of that moisture that has moved to the north over the past couple of days and prompted plenty of tornado watches, warnings, guys. We have another round of that potential today with the flooding concern across the Northeast and Great Lakes, as well as those severe storms for parts of Pennsylvania and New York. Tornadoes once again on the table.
All right. Angie, thank you.
Thanks, Angie. Well, with more on the recovery from Hurricane Beryl, joining us now is the Communications Director for Texas New Mexico Power, Sarah Yingling. Sarah, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. We know it's a very busy time for you, so let's jump right into this. Walk us through the power situation right now. How many of your customers were impacted and what's being done to get the lights back on?
Yeah, at our peak on Monday, we had about 160,000 customers out. And fortunately, we've been able to get on several thousand. At last check this morning, we have about 65,000 customers out total in our Gulf Coast service territory.
There are a lot of frustrated customers, obviously, right now. They don't have power. They don't have air conditioning. It's incredibly hot out right now. What's your message to those who are frustrated, who are saying, where's my power? How quickly will I get it back?
We understand how frustrating it can be to be without power at any time. We just really hope that people understand the situation and the severity of the storm. Just driving around our Gulf Coast service territory, you can see all the poles down, all the wires down, all the giant trees just laying on our lines. And that takes a lot of work. A lot of extensive work goes into repairing this. Unfortunately, it's not just the flip of a switch. Our crews have to go out first and assess the damage. So they weren't actually able to do that until Monday afternoon, despite the storm hitting Monday morning. But it was deemed unsafe for our crews to go out there due to the wind speeds. And it was unsafe for our equipment as well. So we had to sort of wait it out, and then we could start doing the assessment process. And as our crews continued to drive around, of course, they found more and more damage. So it's really just checking out what's happening on all the side streets, the alleys, because that's really where the meat and potatoes of the storm restoration is. And we're just hoping that our customers can really just be patient and understand the situation. But we're hoping to get the power back on to them this evening or tomorrow morning.
It sounds like if you were sort of waiting it out Monday morning for it to be safe conditions to go out Monday afternoon, you had done a fair amount of preparation, right? What type of staging had you done before this actually happened, before the storm hit, with your crews to be able to start this as soon as possible?
Yeah, on Sunday, we had a emergency operation plan launched. So we met with executive leadership, the different field supervisors throughout our area to start implementing our emergency operation plan. We called in additional crews from North Texas, Central Texas, and then started to reach out to our partners at SEE to ask for additional assistance from neighboring utilities. Just last night, Mississippi Power and Georgia Power came in, and we're also getting more vegetation management crews to assist in, like I said, getting the tree debris off of our lines so our linemen can start their process.
Right now, what are the biggest obstacles you face to getting power restored?
It's getting back to these alleys and all these narrow side streets where a lot of our residents live, our customers live. So again, it's getting all the trees and the limbs and the debris out of the way so our linemen can do their actual work. We're hoping that today we can knock out a big chunk of it, and we're fortunate that we can.
All right, Sarah Ying, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time on what we know is a busy and tough week. Well, in New York this morning, prosecutors say they are planning to bring further sexual assault charges against disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. Those prosecutors are investigating the additional allegations and could present the charges to a grand jury. They are also preparing for a retrial of Weinstein after his 2020 rape conviction was overturned in April. His initial conviction symbolized a major turning point in the widespread Me Too movement. There's much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the latest on the criminal trial of actor Alec Baldwin stemming from that movie set shooting back in 2021. Opening statements are set to begin today. We'll take you inside the courtroom.
But first, after the break, inflation is back in the spotlight on Capitol Hill this morning. What we're expecting to hear from Fed Chair Jay Powell when he testifies before the Senate today, and what it could mean for your financial future. Those stories and a lot more next. We're back with some economic news. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell back on Capitol Hill this morning to face more questions from lawmakers.
Yeah, in testimony yesterday, Powell told the Senate Banking Committee that while the economy remains strong, keeping interest rates high for too long could jeopardize economic growth.
NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us now. So walk us through some of the key moments from the testimony yesterday. What's it telling us about the economy? What's it telling us about interest rates?
Yeah, good morning, guys. This is basically the nation's top economist offering his take on what the economy looks like. And we know that inflation is weighing on many Americans, right? Pinching your wallets. But he interestingly talked about two-sided risks, which implies that there's something else that's happening in this economy. And for him, that's worries that the labor market, that the jobs market could soon deteriorate. Take a listen to what he told Congress yesterday.
We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could stall or even reverse the progress that we've seen on inflation. At the same time, in light of the progress we've made both in lowering inflation and in cooling the labor market over the past 2 years, elevated inflation is not the only risk we face. Reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment.
Okay, so before you fall asleep, what the translation now meant, right?
Give us the young
Yeah, the translation
version.
of that is that he might cut interest rates soon because, again, when he talks about reducing policy restraint too soon or too late, what he's talking about is the Fed hasn't done anything for the last year. They raised interest rates. Now we're hearing about maybe cutting interest rates. If they wait too long to do that, could the unemployment rate rise farther than it is right now, from 3.5 to 4.1%? Not necessarily caution for alarm there, but something worth watching. That's what the Fed is trying to walk. Very tightrope here.
That was a personal comment. Like you saw my eyes glazing over and you were like, have to.
Look, it's early. It's early right now. It's early.
Okay, so what are we thinking? What are the predictions for when a cut could come?
Yeah, well, economists that I've been speaking to have listened to his remarks yesterday and said, look, this likely points to a September rate cut. The Federal Reserve has scheduled meetings, so it's not like they could just do this willy-nilly, but their next scheduled meeting is later on this month. Economists say that's just a little bit too soon in terms of the data that we've been getting so far to be able to kind of call and get the confidence that, okay, they can start to reduce some of the high interest rates that we're all feeling in our credit card rates and our mortgage rates and our auto loan rates. But at least by September, if the data kind of points to where we've seen it so far with inflation cooling, the labor market also cooling, maybe they could cut interest rates in September.
Whenever it happens, remind us when interest rates are cut, what happens after that? What will be the impact?
Yeah, well, I mean, all the things that we spend on, right, and the interest rates that we pay are indirectly tied to what the Fed does. So the 30-year fixed mortgage is at 7%. That was around like 3% during the pandemic. Credit card rates at all-time highs, according to LendingTree, at 25%, and then auto loan rates above 8%. So these are all things that we could see get a little bit lower if and when the Fed starts to cut interest rates. But I want to point out that the Fed usually cuts interest rates by a quarter of a percentage point at a time. So it's not like we should expect 30-year fixed mortgage rates to go back to 3% as soon as they start cutting interest rates. But it can marginally go a little bit lower, which would be a lot of relief for those that are on the sidelines of this home market.
Every little bit helps. And eventually the mad dash for housing will happen. And everyone will be.
And that's a whole other economic thing.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Good to see you. We're back now. Now we've going to go to the latest on actor Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial. A jury is seated and opening statements are set to begin today. Both sides will start to lay out their case in the deadly shooting that happened on set of the movie Rust in 2021, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas is live outside the courthouse in New Mexico, where she is following the trial, every bit of it for us. Chloe, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. In just a few hours, those opening statements are expected to begin, and we're going to hear from both sides. They're going to lay out what they believe happened on that Rust film set back in 2021.
Mr. Baldwin, are you feeling confident today?
Lawyers are just hours away from delivering opening statements in Alec Baldwin's criminal trial.
What's up with Daddy?
Ahead of Tuesday's jury selection, the actor greeted his wife Ilaria and youngest child outside of the Santa Fe courthouse.
Mr. Baldwin, would you like to say anything this morning?
In all, 12 jurors and 4 alternates have been seated, among them 5 men and 11 women, with most saying they've seen some news coverage of the case. Today, they will begin to hear a detailed recounting of what happened on the set of Rust in 2021, when cinematographer Helena Hutchins was fatally shot.
When someone was shot?
Baldwin faces a single count of involuntary manslaughter and could serve up to 18 months in prison if found guilty. Prosecutors expected to argue that the actor was negligent with a deadly weapon when they say he pulled the trigger, while Baldwin's defense says their client had been told that the firearm was safe and had no reason to believe it was loaded with a live round. The jury will hear testimony from investigators and members of the Rust crew, likely including Dave Halls, the assistant director, who admitted that he handed Baldwin the gun without first making sure it wasn't loaded with live ammunition.
I was negligent in checking the gun properly.
The state also intends to call on the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. Despite her unwillingness to cooperate voluntarily, she could be forced to testify on key details.
If the question is something that could impact her if she gets a new trial, then yes, she could plead the fifth. But there's a lot of questions like, did you offer him training on a gun? Those kind of things really wouldn't impact her trial if she got a new one.
We find the defendant, Hannah Gutierrez, guilty of involuntary.
In March, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was found guilty of the same charge the film star now faces. Her conviction, legal experts say, may complicate the state's argument that Baldwin is to blame.
The big question is if Alec Baldwin will take the stand and testify in his own defense. Someone that we might also hear from, Savannah, is actually Joel Souza. He was injured that day when the bullet actually went through Helena Hutchins. It actually went through his shoulder. So we might actually hear him take the stand sometime during the trial.
Chloe, thank you so much.
We are getting a peek behind the royal curtain this morning. Now, you probably recognize the famous balcony we're showing you here. Well, for the first time ever, Buckingham Palace is opening up the room behind it to the public, along with a few other never-before-seen spots. It all comes after years of renovations. NBC News international correspondent Megan Fitzgerald joins us now from Buckingham Palace with more details. Hey, Megan, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, this is really exciting. For the first time ever, like you mentioned, the public is going to get a chance to tour rooms never before seen inside the palace. So you can actually see them behind me here. We're talking about the front exterior of the building, also known as the East Wing, and we got a sneak peek. This morning, a rare look inside a hidden part of Buckingham Palace, rooms off limit until now. We took a tour through the East Wing before it opens its doors to the public for the first time next week. Visitors will get a chance to see the opulent yellow drawing room where the late Queen Elizabeth would sit for portraits. They'll walk down the long principal corridor lined with paintings of descendants of the royal family. Arguably, this is the most intriguing room of all. This is called the center room. It's where the royal family waits before they step out onto this balcony. So every time we see them out there, they were here first preparing. So we're talking about everything from the King's most recent official birthday celebration, where we saw the Princess of Wales with her children looking out through the doorwell of the room, to royal weddings from Charles and Diana to William and Kate, marriages sealed with a kiss. Even the end of World War II was celebrated on this same balcony by members of the royal family, alongside then British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. It's a tradition dating back 150 years.
They are walking in the footsteps of earlier generations who've used the balcony in exactly that same way. It's fulfilled that very important role of connecting the sovereign and the royal family to the people, making them visible in a way which previously wasn't possible.
It's also provided these sweet, memorable moments of the royal children peering out through curtains of the East Wing, getting a quick glimpse for themselves of the crowds waiting below. It was also here where the late Queen Elizabeth prepared for her final wave for her Platinum Jubilee in 2022. The last time we saw her publicly before she died, and where her son, Charles, would greet the world for the first time as king, celebrating his coronation, retreating to a private room that will soon be open for the world to see. And Joe, King Charles has really been pushing for more public access to royal residences. So for the first time in its history, the Balmoral Estate in Scotland is open. But I got to tell you, tickets are sold out. They've been selling like hotcakes. And also, the East Room sold out as well. But you can still get a ticket if you want to see the staterooms inside the palace. Joe?
What an awesome opportunity, Megan.
Cool.
Thanks for bringing that to us. Appreciate it.
Quite jealous.
All right, coming up, a new health warning this morning. And yes, it's all about that hot heat.
Yeah, why some medical experts are sounding the alarm over the risks, even when temperatures eventually cool down. The doctor is in. Up next, stay with us.
Just days after NASA astronauts spent their July 4th holiday unexpectedly at the International Space Station, that Boeing Starliner crew will give a live update from space later this morning.
Yeah, astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore reached the International Space Station for what was supposed to be just an 8-day mission. But after lifting off on June 6th, their return home has been delayed for weeks now due to leaks and system performance issues in the spacecraft's module. The astronauts will join an Earth to Space call to discuss their mission while Boeing and NASA work to bring them back safely. That's set to be live streamed on NASA TV starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. Well, back here on Earth, the heat is still the headline.
Yeah, as we mentioned a little earlier, large parts of the country are still suffering from brutal temperatures, with more records expected to break in coming days.
Yeah, even though when the heat wave is over, experts are warning medical risks can actually spike up after things cool down. For more, we've got NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar here with all you need to know to stay safe. Good morning, Dr. Azar. Hope you've been staying cool.
My best.
Yeah, exactly. So data from the CDC shows that the rate of visits for heat-related illnesses has more than doubled since the start of July. What are the biggest injuries when it comes to this heat?
Yeah, so I mean, the way I think people need to think about heat exposure, think of it as being on a continuum. Once you start heating up and your temperature starts to go up, The first symptoms you're going to have are called heat cramps. I think that's self-explanatory. You feel achy, but you can have stomach aches, that kind of thing. If you don't intervene and you don't start rehydrating, the next step is heat exhaustion. We've all probably experienced that. You feel a little lightheaded, a little dizzy, you're sweating a lot. But the next phase is actual heat stroke, and that is a medical emergency. In that situation, your internal temperature is higher than 103. Your mental status will start to change. And the most important thing, and I want people to understand, you're not sweating anymore. You've already surpassed that point. Sweating is your body's natural ability to try to cool off. If you think that you, yourself, if you're able to do that, or you think somebody else near you is in that heat stroke sort of zone, you need to call 911. It can be fatal, and you need to start cooling people down quickly. That is rehydrating, taking off their clothes if you can, cool shower, cool, wet cloths, things like that. Even an ice bath can be used to bring down people's temperature.
You talk about cramps, you talk about not sweating. Are there other symptoms you should be watching out for? And just how quickly can heat illness take effect?
So unfortunately, it can happen pretty quickly, Joe. And I think one of the most important things that people need to understand is that, one of the first signs of heat exhaustion and things like that is being thirsty. So if you are already thirsty, it's kind of already too late. You're already dehydrated. So you need to start, if you know you're going to be outside doing things out in the yard or exercising, God forbid, in the middle of the day, which we don't really recommend, you really need to start hydrating as soon as you get up in the morning. But in terms of symptoms, it really is that lightheadedness, dizziness, nausea. And again, with heat stroke, you're really talking about mental status changes.
And what is with, even if the heat goes down, the risk can still go up, or these numbers still spike?
Yeah, you know why? Because it's the heat does a number on people's cardiovascular systems. And so if you are someone who is potentially at risk for heart disease or, pulmonary disease, asthmatics, things like that, that kind of stress on the body can definitely exacerbate those underlying illnesses.
Let's also talk about summer humidity. It means the rise of mosquitoes isn't far behind.
Yes.
West Nile virus is a worry, spread by mosquitoes. More common than usual for this time of year is what we're hearing. What should we know about this? How do we stay protected?
West Nile virus, like all of these mosquito-borne illnesses, we are seeing them earlier and stronger than in previous seasons, largely due to climate change. We know that the mosquitoes survive in the heat, and they need the warm winters, and they need the warm springs, and the moisture, right? If you have a wet and warm winter, that's another risk factor for these things. So the same kind of, principles that apply to mosquito protection are the same kinds of things very often that we talk about with ticks. So when you're outside, you want to try to wear, light but long sleeve clothing. We don't want to necessarily recommend that, obviously, in the middle of the day. Tucking in your pants, getting rid of standing water at least once a week, wearing insect repellents, ones that are what we refer to as EPA registered, like DEET and things like that. And try to avoid dawn and dusk. That's when, to be outside, that is. That's when mosquitoes are most active. But the thing with West Nile, 8 out of 10 people will not have symptoms, and very many cases will go undetected.
Interesting.
But unfortunately, like with all illnesses, a small percentage of those cases can be quite severe and can even be fatal. So protection is the most important thing.
It's the challenge. You want to wear extra layers, but it's hot, so you can't.
Exactly.
You wanna, right now, you want to be out dawn and dusk. And,
Exactly.
Dr. Azar, thank you so much.
You bet.
Coming up, looking for love this summer?
Yeah, after the break, we've got some tips on how you can keep that spark going even after those 4th of July fireworks. Spoiler alert, you don't have to use the apps. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now.
We're back now with a look at a special program that's helping migrants who are seeking asylum to find jobs in some of New York City's 23,000 restaurants. With a booming hospitality industry, there are tens of thousands of open hospitality jobs, things like line cooks. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has more.
On today's menu in this New York City kitchen, a chance at a better life. Head chef Candy is teaching her students the art of slicing and mincing. But this isn't just any cooking class. Each student here comes from another country, newly arrived and seeking asylum, as one of millions of migrants who've crossed the border in search of the American dream.
Tuvimos que salir porque no teníamos otra opción. Era salir de Venezuela o era morirnos allá.
38-year-old Escarly fled Venezuela with her daughters, where she says the government seized the restaurant she owned.
El gobierno nos quitó todo, nos quitó los sueños y decidí viajar para acá a buscar mejor oportunidad de vida.
Her classmate, 41-year-old Maria, fled Ecuador after her husband passed away, making the treacherous journey to the U.S. with her mother and children.
Teníamos muchos problemas a raíz de que mi esposo falleció. Entiende todo lo que está pasando en el país de Ecuador. No está segura la vida de nadie.
Both women now enrolled in English language courses and kitchen training at New York City's Manny Cantor Community Center through a program provided by the nonprofit Hot Bread Kitchen.
We use the food industry as a catalyst for economic mobility.
The Culinary Career Pathways for New Yorkers program accepts migrants with temporary protected status or work authorization permits, giving them the skills for a stable future.
What are you hearing about why they want to take part in this?
The migrants and asylum seekers that we are working with want to be independent. They want to have agency. They want to work.
And there are jobs to be filled.
The challenge for us now is there's so many jobs open that it actually has potential to cripple our economy if we don't find more people to take these jobs. It is that dire.
The New York State Department of Labor has identified more than 45,000 jobs open to migrants and asylum seekers as part of a statewide initiative led by Governor Kathy Hochul. 20% of businesses who say they're willing to hire the new arrivals are in the food and hospitality industry. The Hot Bread Kitchen culinary program, now training its second cohort, only growing in popularity.
We've had 800 applications to date for somewhere between 60 and 75 spots.
Maria and Scarlett thrilled to be enrolled.
La niña más pequeña de 10 años me dice que ella se siente feliz por tener una chef como mamá.
And anxious to prove themselves.
Para poder demostrar que no vinimos a hacer carga, sino a aportar con lo mucho o lo poco que nosotros podamos aportar acá a este país.
After 6 weeks of training in an industrial kitchen like this, members will graduate and go on to work in restaurants and even bakeries all around New York City.
Holson Patisserie, a Brooklyn-based bakery, hired program graduates Carlos and Brianna, working to fulfill their dreams.
No conseguía empleo, realmente se me dificultaba mucho y después del programa pues realmente solo salí y a la siguiente semana ya comencé a trabajar.
Each graduate learning the recipe for a successful future.
Quiero seguir escalando hasta llegar muy alto.
Valerie Castro, NBC News.
Some more money news now. It's looking like Microsoft gamers will have to reach a little deeper into their wallets for content later this year.
CNBC's Silvana Hanau is back with us with that and other news. Hey, Silvana. Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Yeah, so Microsoft is hiking the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate in September, and it's telling subscribers the price will go from $16.99 to $19.99 a month. PC Game Pass subscribers will also see a hike in September from $9.99 to $11.99 a month. And Microsoft will also introduce a standard subscription without day one titles for $14.99 a month. Separately, Microsoft is dropping its observer seat on OpenAI's board, and the Financial Times reports Apple will no longer join the board in a similar capacity. The move coming as the regulators in the U.S. and Europe step up scrutiny over antitrust concerns between the companies and the maker of ChatGPT. Microsoft has invested more than $10 billion into OpenAI. And saving money can literally help you sleep at night. A new study from Bristol University in the UK finds putting a monthly amount aside allows people to relax and be more optimistic about the future. This is the result of being less anxious about money, less likely to experience problem debt, or being better able to cope with unexpected events. Low-income savers have a similar level of satisfaction as wealthy non-savers, guys.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
Got it.
Well, now for a little romance, and this should be a good time of year, right? To live your best dating life. Long evenings, you can hang out in the park, maybe go to the beach. But this year, summer is coinciding with a modern problem, dating app burnout.
That's right. Last year, downloads of the apps fell 16% from the pandemic high in 2020 as our love affair with the platforms cooled. So how can you make sure you don't miss a chance to meet that special person this year?
Well, to help us, we are joined by Damona Hoffman. She's a dating coach, the author of F the Fairy Tale, and the host of the Dates and Mates podcast. Maybe most importantly, though, Joe's former roommate. And we love when you come by
in college.
and give us some little secrets about Joe in college. Damona, thank you very much for being here. So tell us, just how bad is it out there? I know you even call some of what's going on zombie dating, which sounds not good. So tell us what's happening.
Yeah, zombie dating isn't great. What's happening is that people are saying that they're dating. They're on the apps. They're just swiping. But the lights are on and nobody's home. And this is creating rampant dating dissatisfaction and that dating burnout that you were talking about a moment ago.
So we should note you met your husband on a dating app. You were kind of doing it before the cool kids were doing it.
I know.
Is there something you think you did differently, and what's some advice you give to people now to actually make that work for them?
Yeah, what I did was I thought of myself as a product that I was marketing. I'm marketing myself for love. I'm casting myself into the love story of my life. I used to be a casting director in television, and that's really the strategy that I originally used to present myself in the way that the person that I was hoping to meet would find me. And that's really what I've done for the last almost 20 years now, is to help people present themselves in that way through the photos that you choose, through the way that you describe yourself, not thinking of it from the perspective of, this is cute, this is like what's going to go on my Instagram, but how would the person looking at the profile perceive me?
Good tips like that, thinking about those pictures and stuff. What about meeting in person? It seems like there's a desire for that. People hope that that's how they happen for them, even though either way, if you're going to find the right person, I think it's great. But for people who want to do that in person, what are your tips there? What kind of places should you be putting yourself?
Yeah, people always tell me I'm burnt out on the apps, and I'm like, okay, here's your offline dating strategy. And they're like, oh, I don't know, can the person just come up and knock on my door? No, you actually have to go somewhere. You actually are going to have to say yes. They say adopt an attitude of yes in F the Fairy Tale. That's yes to parties, yes to going to a barbecue, yes to just being out in the world right now. And there's so many new opportunities for actual singles events. So speed dating, which basically had been eradicated by dating apps, speed dating is back in a big way. There's new events like Pitch My Friend or Chaotic Singles Party. There's so many ways to get out there, and it's summer. So now is the time when we can go out and people are really looking for connection.
On that note, it is summer, and it's also incredibly hot pretty much everywhere right now. It's hot in New York. It's hot where you live on the West Coast right now. So what are some things you can do for dates that deal with that heat? Maybe they're indoors, or what are some creative options there?
Well, safety first, of course. So if it is hot, maybe consider some indoor activities. And you also can do outdoor activities at night. So I love summer movie nights, or doing a picnic in the park in the evening, or just getting out on the water. You know, usually it's cooler by the water. And how romantic you can have like your fairy tale moment there on the water with your partner. Your movie moment. And you get to write your own love story. Try to be creative and really take advantage of the opportunity we have in the summer to do different things.
I always think when on my walk home that the Bryant Park movie nights, if you're a New Yorker, seems like such a fun date night. They air a movie right there in Bryant Park. Everybody sits out on the grass. Just like cool things like that are going on in your city.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be dinner and a movie. I'm so tired of this. The same old dates. Do something creative. Go on a walk and have some ice cream, whether it's your first date or your 51st date. You will have a great time if you're with the right person and you're really focusing on connection, looking people in the eyes, listening, and making that connection. That will take care of dating burnout.
And you can't go wrong with ice cream.
Damona Hoffman. Joe ate a lot of ice cream. You got to give us a Joe nugget.
Do you like ice cream? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm sure we had ice cream. I don't.
Last time we learned that you were good about doing the dishes.
I was okay with doing the dishes.
Yeah, but locked up when WWE was on, locked up the TV for hours.
Always been a fan. Damona, thank you. Great to see you.
Coming up, Curtain Call, we're going to take you into the darkness of an immersive off-Broadway show that's performed, entirely in the dark. It's called Odd Man Out.
One of the show's directors and performers, they are here to give a peek behind the curtain in the making of this sensory experience. Don't go anywhere.
Ogres are like onions.
They stink?
Yes. No.
Oh, they make you cry?
No.
Oh, you leave them out in the sun, they get all brown, start sprouting little white hairs?
No. Layers.
We are back with another highly anticipated film that just got announced. Shrek 5 is officially confirmed to be in development. Wow, Shrek 5. Even though the release date of July 1st, 2026 means it's still far, far away. We will hear the original voice actors from the series, Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz. They are all confirmed to be returning. Murphy has separately said that a Donkey spin-off movie is also in the pipeline after Shrek 5. 2026 will actually mark 25 years since the first Shrek movie. I'm going to be honest, I missed 2, 3, and 4, but I assume people are excited about this, so that is great.
I mean, you know, fill out your Shrek calendar for the next 5 years. You're good to go.
That's right. So. And Cameron Diaz, I thought she had retired, so that's kind of cool that she's going to come back for that.
Yeah, very cool. All right, awesome. All right, let's end this hour with a curtain call, your front row ticket to Broadway and beyond. This morning, we're going off Broadway and into the dark. The show is called Odd Man Out, and it is truly an immersive experience because the audience is immersed in pitch black darkness. Like, trust me, I did it. You can't see a single thing for about 2 hours. Instead, you must rely on your other senses, especially sound, as the story unfolds all around you. We're excited this morning to be joined by the show's co-director, Carlos Armesto, and one of the performers, Lorenza Bernasconi. Good morning to both of you. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This is incredible. Briefly, I gave a little setup there, but tell us a little more about the plot and what it is the audience, or perhaps I should say the passengers in this case, are experiencing.
I'll give you an idea of what people enter the space for. You check in, you get your ticket, and then you wait out of the lounge, and we send you into this plane.
Because it's like a flight, right?
Exactly. And then you sit down. We sit you down very carefully, and we prep you. There's actually flight safety video that we give you, and then you sit and you start hearing this old blind musician from Argentina sitting down with you, and he starts talking to his seatmates about his life. And then as he starts telling his memories, we start reimagining his memories the way he experienced them, in complete darkness. So it's with smell, taste, touch, and sound.
So the protagonist in the story is blind. 40% of the staff and creative team, blind or low vision individuals. With that in mind, talk about why it's so important to tell this story in pitch black darkness.
Well, I mean, for us, it's about creating an environment of empathy and understanding. It's what if you lived in someone else's shoes that you're not used to? And what is that to be? And how do you try to communicate with other individuals? And how can you get around the world? And so you have a sense of what other people's lives are. And that's the exciting part of it, because then when you were in it, you are part of the story and you live it for 90 minutes, but you do.
So Lorenza, I mean, for you, as an actress, sight is removed. So how do you tell this story?
Well, we use all the other senses listed. We're both performers, and we also are, stagehands in a way. We do what we call the effects, which is creating smells. We cook in the dark. We make hot drinks in the dark. And so we activate all of those other senses as well.
And there's mist, I remember feeling at one point.
Yes,
I don't know where it came from, but it was a pretty cool experience. Let's be clear. I'm in the dark as the passenger. You are in the dark as an actor. At least I'm sitting. You are moving around all over the place. How on earth are you doing that?
Exactly. It was a lot of work and a lot of ensemble work. Yes. I think it was making sure that we had a really great group of performers that were really there to tell the story. And we were first trained in the dark. We had a lot of training with our other two co-directors from Teatro Ciego, who have done this form of theater in the dark for 15 years now. They just celebrated. And as a young company of 3 years, we had them come over. So all of us trained in the dark. We got familiar with the space. We created this ensemble building environment. And then it's just about knowing how to move and how to approach people in the dark and all the things that can come up so that you're prepared for that when it happens.
Do you have special glasses or anything?
Nope, we don't.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
People assume there's some secret thing you have.
No, not at all.
Talk about, this is something that's fairly new to American audiences, but actually you say is much more common in Argentina. Talk about that experience and bringing it here to America.
Oh, well, it was amazing. So a young producer from that represented the company 5 years ago came to me and said, hey, hey, Carlos, I hear that you do weird theater. And I go, okay, yeah. So tell me about what, yeah, weird. And okay, yeah. And he says to me, okay, explains the concept. And I said, I represent this company from Argentina that creates this kind of work, and I would love to bring the work here. I went down, I experienced the shows, the concept was amazing, but they wanted to translate everything into English and bring it here. And I said, I think they're so Argentine, we're not gonna get it. Let's do something new. Let's do a collaboration between New York and Buenos Aires, and that's how the story came through, which is great. And we were able to get a lot of funding from the Radio Drama Network and a lot of support from Teatro Ciego and Martín Bondone and Facundo, who's our blind co-director, who really gave us a sense of, because the play is a little inspired by his life.
Yeah.
So created that world inspired by him.
It's an incredible world, and it is inspiring. Lorenza, 5 seconds, best reaction you've gotten from someone?
Being able to understand what the character wanted to do before they even knew it.
All right.
So like being able to understand that love.
Cool. Lorenza, Carlos, thank you both. The show Odd Man Out playing now through August 11th at the Sheen Center for Thought and Culture. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.